Welcome back to Writers Unscripted. Today we have, listen, I fought hard and I really wanted to talk to this young man. He is when I say ascending, that might be an understatement for what he's doing right now. He is the star of one of the widely renowned films of the year called Sing Sing. Please help me welcome to Writers Unscripted, Mr. Clarence Maclin. Hello, brother.
Hey, brother. Thanks for that introduction. That was real good. Appreciate
Man, listen, I remember I went through this a little early where we both are, but we're gonna get to it now.
that.
And I want
Yes,
to
sir.
thank you for joining us today. This is a big get for us because we are all about writers here, and to see what you have done already in your career as a writer, we really wanted to come and get your thoughts on the process, and just get a little background on you and what what you're all about. So, Clarence, New Yorker, yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Mount Vernon, New York.
Mount Vernon, New York. That's the birthplace of some of our greatest rappers.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
And we got Denzel, too. Don't forget, we got Denzel.
we never forget about but being from New York, and the birthplace of rap being in the Bronx, um, I read that part of your thing is you embrace the worst parts of the culture of hip hop, and please tell us what you
Yeah.
mean and how that influenced you.
All right. Well, listen, before I even got involved with the hip hop scene and in the streets and all that, I was an artist then too, because I like to draw, I like to paint, I like to do all the creative activities that didn't need a team. I never had a team, so I was kind of a loner. And I like to draw, paint, create with my hands, like sculptures and things like that. However, I suppressed that artistic side of me because I wanted to be in with the in group, the in crowds. You know what I'm saying? That's how I got into the hip hop scene, basically through graffiti first. I was writing on train. I used to write Mac 007 on the 2 and 5 line, but even that on the hip hop scene was like the nerdy part of hip hop. It was like I was a nerd still, you know. But I got into a lot. I started getting into a lot of fights, and this introduced me to like what we would consider the neighborhood crews. We didn't have gangs or anything back then, but it was like neighborhood crews. And I got hooked up with the neighborhood crew who was DJing and all that. And that's how I got into the hip hop scene. But I embraced the wrong elements of that thing because I was more or less a troublemaker. Start sticking people up. I start robbing. You know what I mean? And these are the sides of the culture that I gravitated towards too. Because not only because of I wanted to be in with the in crowd, but my financial circumstances also had a lot to do with it. I grew up with a single parent, and my moms couldn't really afford to take care of me and both my brothers. Being that I was the oldest, I had to get out of the streets and get my own. Let her take care of my little brothers, you know? So that introduced me to like the wrong elements of hip hop. Took me away from the artistic part of hip hop and was more or less you know how that culture grew in from 80s,
Yeah.
the mid 80s to the 90s, the mid 90s. That culture we was pretty violent.
That was a whole different New York back in the 80s. Like
Yeah, it was a different New York.
before transforming into Disney World, it was
Right.
real.
Before they had Goofy on 42nd Street and all that.
That's right. That's right. So so that took you down that road, and got in trouble, right? So
Yeah.
what was the lowest point for you at that time?
The lowest point for me, man, was like sitting in that cell, man, when you first get to Sing Sing. And I'm sitting in that cell and I'm thinking about my mom. I'm thinking about when she walked into the projects and other neighbors are pointing their finger at her saying, yeah, there goes his mother right there. That's that boy mother right there. And how she had to wear that badge of what I was doing. That was like a low point for me, the lowest.
Yeah. So is that what took you through? Like, I got to get out of here. I got to do better.
No, actually, no. What happened was like when I got into prison, I still was carrying on the negative life. You know what I mean? I'm still in the yard doing what I do. I'm doing hand in hands. I'm extorting. I'm doing all of that. And one night I was supposed to go to the yard to take care of some of that kind of business, but the yard got closed because it was thunder and lightning outside. So I had to redirect my thing down to the chapel where they were showing this play. And once you get in there, after I took care of my little business, now you got to stay here. There's no early go back. So I'm sitting here watching the play. And I knew about the program. I knew about RTA before this because I used to think in my mind that it was like some civilians coming in and throwing a pity party for prisoners. I've never been a pitiful person, so I ain't gonna participate in it. But once I got to see what they was really doing, I got down there and I started seeing brothers that I respected, like my brother Dino Johnson up on stage. And you know what I mean? I'm used to seeing him in the yard one way, and now I get to see him a different way, being creative with other brothers and civilians. And it kind of like turned on that artist back, and turned that artist part of me back on. And I had to be a part of that. I had to find a way to be a part of that. However, at the time, you had to have a whole year with no infractions, not getting in any trouble before you can even get in the program. And like I said, man, I was a hot boy, man. So I had to calm down for a whole year just to get in the program. But I did it. I got into the program. And once I got into the program, I got a one part. I got a part, but I had no lines. We were doing an Elizabethan piece called Strasser's Decision, and my brother Dino was in there too. So I'm up on stage and I'm just posturing because I have no lines. I'm posturing, you know. But I guess I must have postured really well because the director said, "Hey, I got 2 lines for you." And when I got those 2 lines, man, after that I was bitten. Now I need more lines. I need to be the lead now. I'm trying out for the lead characters now. You know, so I was just back into my artistic mode again.
Okay. Well, the program, of course, that Clarence is talking about as Rehabilitation Through the Arts, which is all called RTA. It is what is based on the movie Sing Sing, which is really based on Clarence's life, like a version of it. And the reason why that is so special is because Clarence was a writer on the film, right? So
yes,
we talk about how the culture, you embrace the bad parts of the culture, and that puts you in. So now that you're out and now that you're part of this program, and it's really giving you your artistry back. What did you anticipate next? Like when you got these bigger roles, like what was the thought process then? It's like, oh, I'm gonna be a writer again. I'm gonna be a full artist.
Actually, I was just embracing the freedom that this artistry gave me. I didn't put a plan together as far as I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. I was just so elated with the freedom that this program and the space that we carved out, that, you know what I mean, that we could come in this space and be free to express ourselves. I was just embracing that fact for a few years. I had to just embrace that because, you know, it was something that was foreign to any prison. Right. A place where you can go and you're allowed to cry, you're allowed to speak your truth, you're allowed to express yourself. That's not really done inside prison because, you know, those things could be taken as a weakness. Yeah. Those type of expressions could be looked upon as a weakness, and you could put yourself in a situation where you got to defend yourself. Right. You know, so we try to suppress that, but we created a space where that was welcome and that was encouraged, and that even turned on the artist more. You know, now when it came down to being writing on this on a movie, that happened by chance because the directors came to us with several versions of what they interpreted as of a script for prisoners. But, you know, when we read the scripts, we say we don't talk like this. You know, there's no golly gee. There's none of that in prison. There's no, oh, wow. There's none of that. So I had to sit down, and this is where my writing part, then once I started correcting certain things, you know, it started out with me just correcting certain parts of language. But then I started, you know, embellishing and being more creative and presenting more things to them I started seeing situations that could have happened, that can happen in prison. And I started incorporating more of that. And that's where I got the writer's credit on that.
Let me just tell you let's pause 1 second. Let me just tell you how remarkable I think you are. Fellow New Yorker, I'm just talking to you man to man here. Like you say you embrace the bad parts, but it took a certain discipline, you know, for you to be a graffiti artist, right? It took a certain discipline for you to make that happen. Then circumstances led you to prison, but once you saw this program, it took a certain discipline so you would not have any more infractions for a whole year before you
Right.
could join that, right? It took a
Right.
certain discipline for you to embrace that part where you had no lines, but to make something of it, right? And it took
Right.
a certain discipline for you to keep going, get more lines, and then embrace the program. So I just want to talk about just that discipline first before we talk about you as a writer or that process in the film. So I want to applaud you for that, man, because you went from that
Thank you,
to
brother.
you went from having a dream to dream girls last night. Do you hear what I'm saying? Understand what I'm saying? Like, I wanted to give you all your props on that. All right.
Thank you, brother.
That's first. So now let's talk about the writing process. You were just correcting things. You got a writer's credit, but it turned out the film turned out to be based loosely on your experience.
Yes.
How
Yes.
did that
Yes.
fit? How did that fit?
Well, that also developed and evolved into that story because the original story was based on the Sing Sing Follies, right? So it was based on that. However, when Clint and Greg met us, the directors of the movie, Clint Bartley and Greg Kwedar, when they met us and we talked it out, we hashed out to see exactly were we going to do this, because we were approached by others who would not hold fast to the integrity, or they wanted to change what our program was and depict it in the manner that we wasn't appreciative. So we never got involved with them. But when we met Clint and Greg, sat down at Brent Buell's house in Soho for breakfast one morning, and we talked about a little bit of everything, nothing to do with plays, scripts, or anything. Just to see what kind of human being you are, and you wanted to see what kind of human being I am, and could we work together? So once we figured that these guys were genuine and they had the integrity of our program in the forefront of their processes as well, so it was a no-brainer that we could collaborate and make this happen. And they held true to their word because it's so inclusive. They included us in every step in every process of making it. So yeah, that's how that came about.
All right, so now you can work with them. You guys are good. You're on the path. So now it's about the path to making a film, right? So
right,
that process for you, I know, hurry up and wait. We got to get all this stuff done before we can even get on set. So talk about that discipline of having to wait for it to happen after you confirm that it could happen, and then
man, because it took 8 years to do.
Yeah, you see, and then
it took 8 years for us to do.
8 years.
Yeah, actually, probably about 6.5, maybe, but it's 8 years or something right as of today. 8 years ago.
So what were you doing in the meantime?
So we start. I work. We all work. We all work in different disciplines. I work with at-risk teens. What I do is I go into communities with brothers and sisters that's underserved. And I created a program called Successful Steps. And I teamed up with Black Squares. Black Squares and Successful Steps are a team now. And what we do, we go into underserved communities. We give out scholarships up to $2,000 to go to any accredited college or trade school that you want to. We go in there, we provide women's mental health programs. We provide clothing for school, supplies for schools, holidays, we bring food. We're in contact with the 5 farmers in the Bronx. They got 5 farmers in the Bronx. And I bring kids to pack bags for the homeless and give them out to the homeless, because I believe that once they see their own power, once they see that they have the power to bring about change in somebody else's life, that they will embrace that too. So yeah, that's what I was doing in the meantime. I was working still, but we was putting this movie together, and it was a lot of stop and starts. It was a lot of, we get this done and then we gotta wait for a while before we get something else done. So it was a lot of that.
Okay. So now the time is finally here. You were doing your thing. You were being a change in the community that you wanted to see, right? So now the film is finally ready to a script, or was it go to set? Like, was the script already done, or how long did that take to do?
Well, listen, it took a while before to even have a script, because before Colman even got on, we had a few scripts that didn't work, tore them up, sent them back. You're not doing that. Then Colman came on board. Once Colman came on board, and this is when the process opened up more for all of us to be more inclusive, because this is the type of individual Colman is. He came in and folded himself into what we were already doing, rather than come in and be big bad Colman Domingo, which he could have, because, you know, he is who he is. Paul Racy as well, who plays Brent Buell in the movie, could have came in and been like they were on Big Me and Little You timing, but they didn't. They folded themselves in to what we were doing. And, you know, this is when we found that our input really mattered to them. The way we see the world really mattered to them, and what we was contributing to this project, it really mattered to them. So, you know, that type of commitment and dedication had to be matched by us. We got to match them. We got to be able to give that back to you, you know, because this is how our program, Rehabilitation Through the Arts, trained us that if you take 2 steps toward us, we're going to take 2 steps towards you.
So, all right. So it prepared you for what you were about to receive. So, all right. So let's go back. Let's talk about rehabilitation through the arts. Now, it is acting. It is finding yourself and finding a really
Yes.
So that you could be better, rehabilitate for sure. So,
Right, exactly.
How did those plays and how did that program set you up? So, because I know you went in there, you were like, "Oh, this might look good," but how did it really like make you?
Yeah, well, you know, the program Rehabilitation Through the Arts, we're really not interested in creating actors. That's not what the program is about. The program is about rehabilitating men and women and making them better human beings so that they can be productive in society. It just so happens that I'm a hand, and if you put a spotlight on the ground, I'm gonna jump in it and phone. Just so happens to be that's my script. You know what I mean? But that's not everybody. Some guys that become part of the program had no interest in being actors. They rather be stage hands. They rather write. They rather do other things than jump in that spotlight. Like I don't have a problem jumping in the spotlight.
We saw you in the play. I mean, you saw you in the film. Like you were just doing Shakespeare. You're like, no, I'm. This is it. This is how it should be done, and I'm doing it right this. Had you ever done Shakespeare before that? You were like, nah.
Yeah, I love Shakespeare. No, I love Shakespeare, but I believe Shakespeare grew up poor like us, man. He wasn't big Shakespeare when he was alive.
Right.
He didn't become that until he died. He grew up poor just like us, so he had to be coming from a poor man's perspective. So that's how come I could hear it. I think that's how come I could hear him when he talked.
It was so funny because, you know, my man did his thing. Coleman did his thing with it. He was like, nah, this is
that's not.
Like I said, I love that part of the film. Coleman was like, all right, okay. Of course, I love the film, and I love hearing about the behind the scenes, hearing how rehabilitation is really not about just acting. It's really about just becoming better. How that sets you on the path to do what you were doing in the community now. So I feel like it's an incredible thing. So now you're on set. Colman is being inclusive. We finally got a script. You had to go back to where you were.
Yeah.
All those years. I know a lot of people ask you what was that experience like, but really, what went through your mind? Like, how did you feel a sense of accomplishment? Now, I know you could be like, oh, I was like kind of like bothered by being there again, but that's going there, being free, and working on something. How did that? Yeah,
that felt going back inside. Like you already know, there's a lot of apprehension. Didn't want to do it, but going back inside. It really gave us a purpose for what we was doing. We had a real purpose for going back inside. It wasn't like we were just going in to visit. We wasn't going in to play around. We had a job to do. So that job right there, like, overshadowed all apprehension, and you know, it gave us the strength to, you know, keep pressing on and keep doing what we was doing. Because anytime we come together, me and my brothers from RTA, Rehabilitation Through the Arts, and now Colman Domingo, and now Paul Racy, and now anybody who was attached to this movie at any point, whenever we come together, it's more of a reunion than anything else. Like, it's a reason to celebrate just for us being together. So that's the type of feeling we had while we stepped inside these other prisons. Did you know that one of the prisons that we filmed in was a haunted prison? They do haunted tours there at 12 o'clock at night. Mid-Orange. Mid-Orange is a haunted prison. They do haunted tours at midnight there. So every day when we came on set, I would address the ghosts. I would.
What'd you tell
I need y'all to. I need y'all to pull up and go get my ancestors and get them to pull up too, because I'm getting ready to do something crazy right here.
As a black man, I'll be like, all right, I'm out. I'll see you later.
Yeah.
So when tell me the time or tell me the moment that you were satisfied with the script.
I don't really know. I was always satisfied with everything we was doing. It's just that it was points that it got improved upon. It's point that things got switched out. Like certain scenes would get done before other scenes. And these are things that I didn't understand or know because I'm not a part of the industry. This is our first time. You know what I'm saying? And we're used to doing plays. And in plays, when we do plays, everything is linear, one right after the other. You know, it's not so with film. You could do any scene today and do another scene tomorrow. They're gonna edit it and string it together. You know what I mean? So these are things that were that I was learning and I was unfamiliar with, and that caused me to ask questions. I'm ask questions when I don't know something or when I don't understand. I need to understand before I can move forward. I need to know. That's just my nature. That's how it goes. So this caused me to ask, why are we putting the film in the freezer? Why? Why would you do that? So they got the cooling boxes that every time they finish filming, they put the reels in there. And then I learned that that's what separates the quality of this movie from other movies. The way this process that they use to film it shows that's made it timeless. Like if you notice in this movie, there's no clocks and no calendars. You don't really know what year this happened.
Yep. Okay.
You know?
Yeah. Well, that's some behind the scenes for all you aspiring screenwriters who might be on set. There's some things that might happen. So if you're not familiar with it, you just got some gems there. What was another thing what was another thing behind the scenes that you took away from this film? You're like, oh, okay, I'm gonna take this with me when I do my next or when I do something else.
Right. Well, it had to be one of the lessons that Colman taught me because we all come from theater. So in theater, you're trained to project as loud as you can. Especially working in Sing Sing. Sing Sing, we got poor acoustics and we got a lousy sound system because we're getting secondhand everything. So you have to project to make and enunciate and make sure that the guy in the last seat over there, he can hear every word, and not only every word, but understand the punctuation in your speech. In your speech, you got to know that you came to a period and you start a new sentence. Even if they don't know it consciously, they have to know it subconsciously to understand, to follow, So for your writers out there that write, make sure you write in mind that the actor has to be able to deliver the speeches or the monologues or whatever you want to deliver. You have to deliver it in a way that it can be processed by the audience.
And something you said a little earlier. Something you said a little earlier that I did not want to slip by. Screenwriters, when you do get on set with your project, whatever, don't be afraid to ask questions because you did.
Do not be afraid to. They want you to ask. They want you to be interested. They want you to be engaging. What I've learned, a lot of people, especially what I see or what I hear on set is that a lot of actors they'll walk right past cameramen, they'll walk right past the makeup people and go right to their little place and little corner and start doing their thing. And to me, that's not how community works. To me, community work, we all work together. It works better when we all work together. So that's how we approach it. That's how we approach making this movie, and that's why it came out the way it did. It's community based.
A little spoiler alert for those who have not seen the film yet. Just go watch it. You can pause us, come back whenever you've watched the film. But what I will say is what I love, the nice touch in the film was when everybody couldn't agree on what the project should be, We're like,
Yeah.
oh, let's just add a time machine so we could do everything. Here we go. We gave everybody a chance to shine at what they were doing.
Yes.
So now, was that something that happened in real life, or was that for film?
Yes, that's exactly how that happened. That's exactly how it happened. The way they showed it in the movie is exactly how that happened. Brent went and came back with this 144-page script. 72 roles. You got 72 roles in that play. And it's only 23 of those. So I had like 4 or 5 roles in one play. So when we got approached to do the movie, I didn't know whether they was going to take one of the characters that I played. I didn't know what they wanted to do, how they wanted me to contribute, but it evolved to what it is now.
Now, when you were doing your business on the yard,
yeah,
when you became part of the program, was your transformation, was it gradual? Did people see you like, oh, you're different? Like, what?
Yeah.
Like, hey, all right, man.
It was gradual, and people did that. It was a gradual change because, as you see in the movie, even in the movie, I tell you, I still keep a knife. I kept my knife still.
Oh, man, I'll be right back.
That was true too.
Right. All right, so tell me how you got the name Divine Eye. That's what
Divine Eye? Divine Eye is an attribute. As you know, if you're from New York, I'm part of the 5% Nation of Gods and Herbs. And an attribute is something that enlightener sees in you and gives you that attribute because that signifies what he saw in your character. And divine is like God-like in character. So that's what he saw in me. And now Divine G, living all the way in Brooklyn, his enlightener saw the same thing in him.
Right. Okay.
So this connection was meant to be.
I love it. My last question for you before you got to run. Some advice for screenwriters who are either working on their first project or working on projects that might be personal to them, that they might be a little apprehensive about putting out because it's so personal.
Just remember, when you put out personal works, like when I did this, I put a lot of my personal self inside of this. However, I know that the message that we're giving out in our stories is what is more important than any apprehension that we could feel or any discomfort from giving out personal. Because when you give out your personal stories, this is what theater was actually created for, to show people that they're not the only one going through whatever it is they're going through, and that there's other solutions. Maybe you didn't come across this one yet, or maybe you could step back and create your own solution. But the purpose of telling stories and the purpose of keeping the stories authentic and keeping your true self in them is to serve others. It's not for you. Your creation is not for you. It's for others.
Okay. Keep that in mind. All you aspiring screenwriters and myself included. There's so much more that I could touch on with you, man. Like, I feel like we were just getting started. I know you got to run. Everybody, if you're not
I got to run, bro.
I know. Go see Sing Sing. It is everywhere on every platform right now. This man will be nominated for an Oscar. I'm putting that out there right
Thank you,
now.
Brother.
Last night he's with Tyler. Next couple months, he's gonna be on stage accepting a big award. So I want you to claim that, accept that, put that in your discipline as well. Thank you for everything you do, man. Thank you for agreeing to do this. It's just be great for a fellow Black man, for a fellow New Yorker, and for a fellow. Thank you so much.
Hey, don't forget to shout Susan out for me, too, you heard?
I will definitely shout Susan out. Susan, I owe her dinner. I owe her drinks, everything. She's been a friend for a long time, so thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, brother.
All right.
Peace.